Welcome back to the Download Show. Now, today we have a really exciting guest, Stefan Papp, author of the new book, Investing for Programmers. Stefan has decades of experience as both a data engineer and an investor. And in his book, he shows how programmers can leverage their experience, coding skills, and even AI to make smarter investment decisions. Now, we'll be talking about everything from the basics of getting started to crypto, to using LLMs and AI agents to guide research. And Stefan will share his vision for the future of investing for programmers. Welcome to the show, Stefan.
Thank you for having me.
So first question, what inspired you to actually write this book, Investing for Programmers?
I wanted to write the book that I would have loved to read when I started investing. So, I started 25 years ago approximately to invest, and I made, of course, mistakes. There's a lot of things I had to learn the hard way. And I always felt there's no book available for someone like me back at the time. So someone who is a little bit techy, someone who doesn't have a finance background, let's say finished study in finance, who maybe has to still learn a little bit the jargon of the finance world, and who just makes his first money and wants to increase it. And that was the vision.
Now, you started off the book, I think, prefacing why programmers are especially attuned to investing. Why do you specify that? What do you think makes programmers special or unique in investing and particularly attuned to investing well?
I think I wanted to address this kind of stereotyping issue. So, of course, programmers are broad and there are different kinds of personalities. But I met a lot of programmers who said, okay, finance world is something different. So this kind of meaning, this kind of ideas in their head. They look at Wall Street and they say, okay, there are some types in suits and I'm the hoodie, I'm a different person and I stay with my code and this kind of investor should do whatever they want. And this is a little bit sad because what turns out is that actually programmers or analytical people are actually quite good investors. And I bring it also up in the book quite often with Renaissance technology, which is maybe the best performing hedge fund, which was the first one that really used mathematics and machine learning in their analysis of stocks. And I encourage everyone to read more about Renaissance technology because it shows in a way how, nerds took over Wall Street because Jim Simmons, the founder of Renaissance technology, he was a mathematician, really also a special person in a way, and the way he worked with all his fellow mathematicians he recruited from all over the world, just to beat the market by focusing on numbers and analytics instead of financial know-how. This is simply amazing. And I think every developer has the potential to replicate this. So just using the brains, the way of foreseeing the kind of what can happen. So as a programmer, you have to be very analytical. You have to always think, okay, what can go wrong? You have to forecast. You have to use a lot of intelligence to come to a conclusion. This is perfect for investing.
Now you also, but I think there's a ample amount of code in there as well. So I think it's both the attitude, it seems, but also the ability to execute by oneself.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, you can be analytical without code. I love code because code is in a way the way to express one, let's say, logic and the way. But I've seen also, of course, now a lot of no code or low code solutions, and this is also, it makes it repeatable, deterministic, and I think this is perfect for investment, and especially also that when you investment data or finance data is generally available everywhere, and this is also if you want to learn how to use machine learning algorithms, for instance, to forecast stock prices. So this is also a perfect way to enter the kind of technical side.
Now, what I liked about the book, and I did read the entire thing, was how it blended, I think, the accounting standards, the old school kind of equity, cash flow statements, and understanding all the basics of investing, plus some of the new stuff, which we'll get at later on. But having said all that, kind of, if I took a step back, how do you think programmers should think about investing right from the get go? How should they construct their portfolio?
There is, of course, some basic finance that every programmer should know, and that are also included into the book. Especially the second and the chapter is about, let's say, how does the two companies operate, to be aware that companies are different in different industries and what kind of parameters you have to look for. So you can't avoid knowing this. Yeah? So there is a basic thing that you have to know, but you don't have to study finance to be fully aware of it. And what I believe is, and this is something that I keep repeating all over the book, there is one sentence of Warren Buffett that sums it all up: invest in things you understand. And then there is another quote from another investor, Peter Lynch, is that people who are strong domain experts can also perform better than seasoned investors. So this is the whole premise of the book in a way. So you are special in some ways. You understand something, and you understand how your field can evolve and how you can grow, how the companies that you work for or that you know well can grow, and finding those companies that will have a big future, especially with AI. There's a lot of things we can speculate on. You can pick a portfolio that is outperforming the market. So this is the way I would start.
And then would you, from that kind of basket though, would you kind of, the asset mix, would it be kind of general equity? Is that how you would kind of recommend people start with?
I
Or
would,
something more exotic? I even saw derivatives in the
yeah.
book as well.
So I would, I mean, if I would start over again, I would start slow and keep the risk matched to my skill level. So this is one thing I was a little bit worried about. And that's why I keep a lot of guardrails in the books as well. So always kept telling people, look, there's risk. You have to know what you do. And so the kind of challenge is always that we're talking about something where you can also lose something. And one of the key premises of investing is that you know yourself. So the original title of the first chapter was Know Thyself, because this is also where everyone needs to be. So everyone is different, and every broker, every financial advisor comes and starts. Okay, what is your goal, and who are you to in your investment strategies? Some people are more risk averse, and they wouldn't be able to sleep at night if they knowing that they had invested in something risky where they can lose money. For those people, there are some aspects that work better because yeah, they're less risky, and then there are those who are ready to take more risk. And I think the kind of key starting point is to understand yourself on which side you are.
And to your point, I think as well, like your earlier point, which is kind of know yourself and know the company that you're investing in, and that could also kind of go into the crypto, really know that product or the coin or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I do like how you approach those kind of newer topics, like crypto, investing in crypto, and using AI both as LLMs to do research and AI agents to execute some of that research. Like in the future, is it do you really kind of see those two tools, at least those two technologies, being fundamentally even more important in the investment world?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the moment we have investors. I mean, it's investment is already a very strongly data-driven environment. So the kind of times where people decided on gut feeling or just on talking with other people, this kind of getting a feeling, okay, how could things work out? These are long over. So every firm, every hedge fund, every investment firm, they use data to make their picks, and this gets more. And I believe that more and more financial advisors, financial advisors, will be replaced with AI or with human financial advisors using AI. And I also predict that if you look at the market, there's a lot of software as a service solutions out there giving you a lot of insights on the data of stocks and equity. And I think this gets gradually replaced by LLMs who do their work for you, where you just enter, okay, you have you put your question in natural language, and then you get all the insights. And in the background, maybe more complex AI agent workflows are running, but in the end, yeah, the AI advises you.
Now, having said that, though, there's so much automation that can be present, but yet you also kind of through the process of the book, you kind of evoked and you mentioned kind of Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch. I referenced Benjamin Graham. Where do those guys come in, and what do their advice? Where does that come in? Is it the fact that they offer principles and frameworks that you think are relevant in this kind of new age?
Yes, I mean, the funny thing is, if you look at the famous investors, there's one thing that they have all in common. So the age. So we have this kind of generation of the old guys still in the business. I mean, Warren Buffett is 94. I mean, he retires by the end of the year, but there are many other famous investors, Ray Dalio, and ICANN, and so people. So it seems that someone who is smart can sustain very long in his field, and people don't want to retire, obviously. Um, and these and the funny thing, what we have now is that, I mean, you can't really see Warren Buffett sitting in front of a computer and doing some coding and to make his analysis. But what they created is the kind of the fundamental, the principles, the key principles that you still, that will be valid, I think, every time. So when Warren Buffett says, invest in business you understand, or be greedy when others are fearful, and be cautious when others are bold. So there is a lot of common knowledge that they have created. So I think this stays valid forever, and I often quote them, and yeah.
It reminds me of, I think, Benjamin Graham's. I like his character, Mr. Market,
Yeah, Mr.
is
Market.
what
Yeah.
yeah, which what you mentioned. Now, and tying that into back into the book now, even further. Is that really what you're trying to create, in the sense that you're trying to create this framework, updating the framework, obviously kind of sitting on the shoulders of giants, but creating this new framework that's going to be relevant for kind of this new age or beyond? Is that really kind of the vision of the book, or the vision beyond the book?
I mean, that's the bold reach for the stars. Of course, trying to create a new standard of a book that teaches investing for programmers. This was the goal, and the market has to decide if I will meet this goal or not. Um, and I believe that these kind of techniques will never give you a universal recipe what to do. But what I try to do with this book is, I try to empower people. I mean, there's, of course, it can be reduced also sometimes to just use your brains to make an investment decision, because there's always, I get as a small chapter on psychology as well, so at least it's not the main focus. But what I saw is that a lot of people, they go, when they start investing, they don't think, they for instance, take crypto as a good example. So people hear someone being amazed about a coin, then there's the fear of missing out, and people buy, and then suddenly they get scammed. And this is the kind of principle I want to teach people. So just use your brains to analyze, and how you can make good decisions. And if I can just help a few people, I'm already fulfilled the mission of this book.
Actually, it's funny how you use crypto as an example, right? So, to your point, it's not only the principles of investing, but I think psychology as well, which tying back into Benjamin Graham with the Mr. Market character, that was always saying Mr. Market has his own personality, will do whatever he wants, but you just have to manage yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and and this has been every time the case that uh, you have to understand the market and how things got different. And for instance, what I see now on the market is that we are again in a completely different cycle that we have been some years before. So the amount of geopolitics in the whole market is simply amazing. So there is, I mean, everyone is aware how Donald Trump is affecting the stock market. He tweets something, and then suddenly markets are down and up. And this year it was extreme. I believe that now investors getting more resilient and start ignoring some of his posts. So, but it also shows that we have a complete new element, that social media is far more important in the investment process. So if you had told 10 years someone before, let's say, screen social media and screen for keywords and then adjust your investment decision, they would have said maybe, oh, that's crap. But today everyone knows you have to count it in. Yeah. So new data, new adjustment. And again, this goes back to programmers, because programmers can read data, can analyze it, and can maybe create better algorithms to invest.
Very interesting on the geopolitical front. Actually, so does that you use that a lot in your investment choices as well? And how do you use, or at least kind of utilize, or scrub or sanitize that type of data?
Yeah, so I mean, we are now maybe in a very challenging investment situation. So the markets are hugely up, and a lot of people predict that at some point the market will crash. So this is now exactly the kind of time where any advice can be fatal. So if you go now to someone randomly and say, hey, there is this kind of company does this, don't you want to invest in it? I had this kind of situation in 2007, 2008, where the market was super high, and I remembered one friend of mine telling me, oh, I bought yesterday this kind of stock, and it can't go down, it simply has to go up. And then, yeah, the market crashed, and I lost some money. And we are now in this kind of situation again. It's simply impossible to predict what's coming up. And this is maybe the one thing where you can excel with your thinking, because you have to understand the basics, and then you make the right decisions for yourself. And what I try to do is I try to be the one helping the reader to get to this kind of point, to be able to make this kind of decision that is safe and also brings some returns.
Fantastic. On that note, thank you very much for your time, Stefan.
Thank you very much. Yeah.